Before there were songs or sunlight in the world, there was only darkness and the sound of waves breathing against an endless reef. Night and day were the same, and the ocean whispered secrets only the wind could hear. In the small coastal village of Kaina lived a young girl named Maru, who loved to sit by the shore and listen. Her grandfather, a wise shell carver, told her stories of a hidden reef that had once spoken to the sea and brought the very first dawn. He would smile softly and say, "When the reef wakes again, the darkness in people's hearts will fade." Maru had a strange and precious gift. She could hear what the water was saying. While others heard only the splash of waves, she heard laughter, sighs, and songs within the deep. The villagers teased her and called her the girl who talks to fish, but she paid them no mind. One afternoon, as she washed taro by the shore, she heard a low humming beneath the tide, soft and steady, almost like breathing. A single bubble rose and popped before her eyes, and in that gentle sound it whispered her name. "Maru, come before the moon is whole." When the moon grew round, Maru borrowed her grandfather's old canoe and paddled beyond the safe lagoon where no one ever went. The stars drew a shining path upon the waves. She sang quietly to calm her fear, singing the same ocean chant her grandfather had taught her. Hours later, she saw it, a pale glow under the surface, like the heartbeat of the sea. The reef shimmered alive beneath her canoe. She dipped her hand into the water. The sea began to still. A shape rose from the deep, enormous and slow, a being made of coral and light. Its eyes were pale as pearls. The creature spoke in a voice that felt both near and far. "Child of the shore, why do you wake an old dream?" Maru bowed her head and said, "Because the people have forgotten kindness. The land is tired and joy has gone. My grandfather said only the reef that saw the first sunrise can heal us." The Great Spirit's face seemed to ripple with sorrow. "Light does not belong to the sky," it said. "Light lives inside hearts that remember where they came from." Then it lifted a single drop of shining coral, shaped like a tear, and placed it before her. "Take this pearl to the highest cliff on your island. When dawn comes, sing the reef song, and the world's first light will return. But beware, greed follows the glow." Maru sailed home with the pearl clutched close. When the villagers saw it, they gasped at its beauty. Her grandfather looked on proudly, but the chief narrowed his eyes with envy. "We must guard it carefully," the chief announced, hiding it inside his hut. That night, however, greed conquered him. He crept to the beach, tied the pearl to a fishing line, and cast it into the sea, hoping to trade it for riches. The instant the pearl touched the water, the sky thundered. Waves rose like walls, wind tore through the village. Maru woke as rain crashed against her door, and knew at once what had happened. She ran outside and shouted into the storm, begging the spirit for forgiveness. The sea did not answer. It raged. Huts splintered, canoes vanished, and the greedy chief disappeared into the foam clutching the glowing pearl. Then, in the roar of the tempest, Maru heard a familiar voice within the waves, the coral spirit calling out, "Still you fight for them. Then let the test continue." When she next opened her eyes, she was lying on the mountain above her drowned village. The pearl rested unharmed beside her. The sea below was calm again, but the sky remained gray. She took a deep breath and began to climb, barefoot along the wet stones, the jungle fallen silent behind her. At the mountain's peak, she placed the pearl on a rock where earth touched the cloud. She knelt and sang her grandfather's old tide song, low, trembling at first, then strong as the wind rose around her. The pearl flared bright, and light spread across the horizon like molten gold. The ocean answered with shimmering tones, and the gray sky melted into color. The first sunrise the world had seen since the beginning poured over sea and land. Far below, the people awoke to warmth and peace. The waters glowed golden. The fishes flashed like living lanterns. Maru looked down at her hands. The pearl had turned back to dull coral, but a gentle glow burned in her chest instead. She smiled, knowing now what the spirit meant. That light cannot be carried, only remembered. Her grandfather found her among the rocks, tears shining in his eyes. "The reef remembers us," he said softly. "And now we remember it." In time, Maru grew older, her hair longer and braided with shells. Children gathered around her as she sat by the beach at sunset, telling this very story. And each morning, when the new sun rose, the reef far out at sea shimmered faintly with gold. Fishermen said it was the coral spirit smiling, keeping watch. They still whisper her name when dawn breaks over the waves. Maru, the girl who listened, the one who brought back the light. The world remembers her because she remembered the world, and so the reef glows forever, waiting for the next heart brave enough to listen.